Hello and welcome to another edition of For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today is KP Mily. She's a mom and she's a recent author. And today we're going to talk about her son's diagnosis with autism when we come back, so stay with us. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today is KP Mily. She's a mom and she has written a book. The book is called One Magical Day. It follows one mother's journey from her own upbringing through her birth of her son and his diagnosis with autism. And because of that, KP Mily decided to write a book. We're going to talk about the book, and it's her first time on the show, so we're meeting her for the first time. So first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for being on the show. We're going to talk about the book, but let's just go back from as far back as you just want to start and talk about you a little bit.
Okay. Pretty much I grew up in a nice, small Italian, close-knit family, very supportive, always there for you. Pretty much growing up was typical. Graduated high school. I attended PC, Providence College, for a little while, and then decided that I would rather open my own business. So I opened a flower shop at 19.
Wow.
And I had
entrepreneur.
It for, yeah, I had it for 12 years. So I didn't finish my degree at Providence College.
What was your degree going to be in?
It was going to be in business management.
Okay, so you kind of snuck out early and started the business.
Yeah, the business was did so well and was so busy that I decided not to continue with that degree. But I also worked as a dental assistant for Busy Walk Dental Practice, which I still do today.
Oh, really? Okay.
But as a hygienist.
Okay.
I went back to school in 1994, and I earned my degree to become a dental hygienist.
So you didn't want to bother even finishing the business degree?
I didn't, no. So I went back for dental hygiene. And after that, I've been married for 17 years. And I have obviously a 10-year-old son, Mitchell, who was diagnosed at about 2 years old on the autism spectrum. So
now how old is he now?
He's 10.
Okay, and he was diagnosed when he was 2.
He was started the diagnosis process around 2.
If you go back that far, is there a big difference as far as what they know about autism now compared to back then when he was initially diagnosed?
I think that's a good question. I think, I believe we're still pioneers in this whole process.
Even today?
Even today, and he's 10. So the process has definitely come a long way. I don't think they know exactly what causes it still, but I think they know how to deal with it and what kinds of therapy are needed to help the child basically go through everyday life.
So let's talk about, your reaction and your family's reaction and just what you went through when you found out he was diagnosed with autism.
Before he was diagnosed, you kind of pick up on all these little cues that something just isn't right, with everybody around you telling you that he's fine. And even my pediatrician had said to me, he'll talk when he's ready and he'll eat when he's ready, but those things just weren't happening. Yeah. And I kind of kept on putting that same thing up, well, you know what, something's just not right, something's just not right, and everybody around me, my parents as well as all my relatives kept on telling me, no, he's fine. But I just knew, me and my husband both just knew that something just wasn't quite right. And that's when we started the ball rolling, where I decided that I wanted to contact a school in our area that deals with early intervention and get some sort of evaluation and decide if that there is, in fact, something that's just not typical.
It's amazing that even the pediatrician said, he'll start talking when he's ready. And I guess even now they wouldn't know. My mom, I wasn't talking early on either. My mom, brought me, and he said those exact words to her. He'll just talk when he's ready.
Right.
Now, ironically, I went into radio and TV, so I actually talk for a living now. But it's amazing. They don't, especially back then, they just, apparently you really have to go to a specialist to be able to really delve into this more to find out if there is anything.
Now there is, though. Now they're starting to have a 12-year checklist almost, where they can actually kind of pinpoint some of the things that aren't just typical, some of the typical behavior that should be happening that isn't happening, and that's where the little flags will go up and they'll send you for more evaluations. So right now they are in the process of doing different kind of checklists at a certain age. So,
but not back then, though.
Not back then.
Okay, so you took them to the schools.
They actually came to us.
Okay.
They came to our home because if you know, children on the spectrum are not good in unfamiliar surroundings and places that they really have never been before. So to get a better evaluation, they actually come right to the house. And she went through almost like a little checklist of things that I had concerns over. And it was the first time ever that I didn't realize that it was something that I was making up. For the first time ever, the woman actually knew what I was talking about. And she actually...
Just by your description
just
and
by
by
my
everything that was
description
going on?
and by the questions that she asked, I knew that she knew that I wasn't making kind of this up in my head, which is what basically people were almost telling me.
Yeah.
That something just, oh, it's in your head, don't worry about it, he'll be fine. And it just wasn't. Things just weren't quite right.
So she knew just by your description, but then you
Right.
Brought your son in, and then they did, tests for this specific sort of thing?
They did. They have a psychologist that comes in, and he actually runs through a whole gamut of different tests for the typical age and what they should be doing at that point. And when we ran through that, it found that obviously he's on the autism spectrum, but he has sensory processing dysfunction, which is, it's a lot of sensory issues, a lot of tags on clothes bother him, getting his hair wet, textures, all of the things that he was doing. That's basically what he has.
And we were talking off the air about there are so many levels of autism
Right.
as far as a scale of spectrum.
Right.
And he's on the high end.
He is high functioning, which means he definitely, social interaction is a problem. So having friends his own age or having people his little people his own age that he can talk to, definitely is a chore for him. But it's, he's well above where he should be, like school-wise,
Right.
reading-wise, comprehension-wise, talks your ear off. But he's
Now, that's a
definitely...
big difference from way back when.
It definitely
Right.
is. But, I mean, he didn't talk till he was almost 4. So, and I never knew if he was getting it. But all that time he was listening, he could count to, like, as soon as he started talking, he could count to 200. So he's obviously well above that. But like I said, there's a lot of other things. Social anxiety keeps him back from doing a lot of stuff.
So you find out, you get the medical diagnosis. What's going through your head, your heart, your family? What are the feelings, the emotions?
Those feelings have all been bottled up for
Yeah.
that whole time. Your head is almost spinning because you have no idea what you're going through. You have no idea what they're saying to you. You've heard of autism before, but is this what it looks like? Is that what my son looks like? I picture him in my mind when they told me your child is on the autism spectrum, and you kind of just basically are numb. You don't know what to do, but I just kept on reading and kept on getting different books, and I kept on educating myself on what needed to be done and what they did on other occasions with different children, and I just kind of got familiar with the therapies and the treatments and everything that needed to be done, and we kind of just kept going ahead, which is hard to do because you don't know if what they're doing is the right thing.
Right.
You don't know.
You have to kind of just trust them and think to yourself, well, these are the experts. They
Right.
know what they're doing.
Right, and I'm not a person that easily trusts people.
Right, especially when you're talking about your own son.
Absolutely,
you know?
and that's where you do have to make sure you have basically all the knowledge that you need. Like I said, keep on reading as much as you can, keep on going through as many books. I went to the library constantly to find books, the bookstore, but that's how you just do it. But your head is in a total fog, and you just keep on going. I think I didn't enjoy being a mother till he was almost 6.
Just because you were, you couldn't be a regular mom with a regular son because there was so much information that you were inputting into yourself
Right.
to learn about what was going on.
Right.
Because it wasn't going to be a typical 6-year-old's
No,
life.
it wasn't. And it's still not to some certain degrees, but if you look at any child has quirks and issues
Right.
and challenges. So
There's
it's
no-
not like mine is different.
There's no, they say there's no handbook for being a
Absolutely
mom,
not.
regardless of the child's issues. If
Right.
he'd be what society considered, in medical terms, completely regular like
Or
everybody else,
typical,
there
yeah.
still wouldn't be.
Right.
You'd still be pulling your hair
Absolutely.
out.
And I never use the word normal anymore because
Because that's not
there is normal.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's not even an appropriate
Yeah.
word to use in this case.
It's
So, but slowly but surely, you accepted it, and I would imagine the more you researched and read, like you said,
Right.
the more you understood it, and I don't want to use the word got comfortable with, but the more you maybe felt at ease with just in your own head about how things were going and how things were progressing and how you could deal with it.
That's a very good point. There's definitely a level of comfort because you really do have to get comfortable with what they're doing because it isn't typical. And you have all your friends and your family are doing totally different things and they're leading almost a typical kind of life. And you can't be involved in that because there's so many things that he won't do. And coming from a close Italian family, We do 14, 15, 16 of us do everything together, where
Right.
we always took our own car because we never know if he would even make it into the building or into the theater or wherever we were going, and most of the times he didn't.
And a lot of times you might have to take them out. You know.
Most of the times we had
Yeah.
to take him out. So there's also a level of not understanding too. A lot of people don't get it and don't understand. Well, just bring him in. If he screams, who cares? Well, his anxiety takes over, and it's not a child that you can calm down. They have to learn how to regulate, and they have to learn how to adjust to their environment. And it helps when, like, all the treatments and all the things that we've done so far help him to regulate and help him to get back in. So
As he has come along, have you and your husband come along? Are you better people? Are you more, obviously you understand the condition and you're more educated about it too, but obviously you can deal with it more these days than when you started out, right?
I absolutely can. I can deal with it more just because of I know him inside and out, basically. So I can actually look at him, engage, and see how well he's doing with a certain situation. So it's made me more comfortable knowing how he is and knowing the situation. And I don't make excuses anymore for things that we can't do. You know, we were invited to so many parties and birthday parties, and I used to make excuses, and I used to forget who I used to tell them to. And now I don't make excuses anymore.
Are you more comfortable with doctors too these days than you were back then?
I can't
Not
say
really?
that either. No,
Oh,
I can't
boy.
say that. But we've met a lot of nice people. But there's also a few doctors in there that had some bad things to say.
Oh.
And I kind of just
You're talking
put
about
them
in the book,
In
right?
the book, they talk about this one doctor that basically told me at his 3-year evaluation when he needed to go into the public school system, the school system was backed up and we had to use an outside doctor.
Oh my goodness.
And I use that term lightly, doctor.
Well, let's get more into the book. We're going to take a break,
Okay.
and when we come back, we'll really talk about the book. But if you have some contact information for people to learn more about maybe autism in general, but also maybe to questions about the book or get the book, how can they do that?
We actually self-publish, so they can actually view the book and buy it on lulu.com, that's LULU.com.
Okay.
And in the book, there's also, or on the site, you can also contact me through my website and my email address.
All right, so we'll put the Lulu graphic up on the screen so you can learn more about it. KP Mily, Mom, and recent author too, so we'll get into the book when we come back, so stay with us. I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. We'll be back.